Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unraveling a pretty massive academic mystery. Why are traditional tech adoption theories just completely failing in collectivist cultures? Right now, there's a huge shift happening right under the noses of global tech giants. It turns out literally everything we thought we knew about buying behavior might be totally upside down, simply depending on where you live.
Okay, let's dive right into this with a staggering statistic straight from the research. To put things into perspective, right now almost 6 out of the 7 billion people on Earth own a mobile phone. I mean, that's wild, right? It's a level of global market penetration that brand managers 50 years ago could only dream of. Mobile phones aren't just gadgets anymore. They're an absolute global necessity.
But you see, that brings us to the central puzzle of our explainer. With a global market this incredibly huge, why are premium, international tech brands struggling so hard to survive, let alone stand out in developing countries? Instead of dominating, they're facing absolutely fierce challenges from local competitors and fast imitators. So, what are they missing?
Well, to truly understand consumer behavior here, we first need to look at why we actually use our phones in the first place. According to a Harvard Business Review study cited in the research, our phone usage is heavily dominated by two things. 46% is for me time, and another 19% is purely for socializing. So yes, the device is highly personal, but it's also our absolute primary tool for human connection.
Section 1. The Detective Tool. The Diffusion of Innovation Theory.
To solve this market mystery and figure out why global brands keep hitting a brick wall, we need a reliable detective tool. Enter the Diffusion of Innovation theory. Synthesized by Everett Rogers way back in 1971 and based on 19th century sociology, this psychosocial theory has literally been the gold standard for decades. It has successfully predicted how new ideas and technologies spread through a society, and it's been used for everything from farming advancements to modern consumer tech.
Rogers argued that adopting new tech basically boils down to 6 key psychosocial elements. They range from relative advantage, meaning is the tech actually better, to complexity, which is how hard it feels to use, all the way down to social influence and perceived risk. For years, if you wanted a product to succeed, this was your ultimate checklist.
Moving on to Section 2, the collectivist variable, Pakistan's unique market conditions.
Let's take that classic theory into our testing ground and introduce the ultimate wildcard, the highly collectivist culture of Pakistan. This is where the standard Western rulebook runs into a brilliant cultural divide. See, in individualistic markets, consumers usually buy tech to stand out, right? To project individual status and personal achievement. But in collectivist markets, consumers adopt tech for a totally different reason. They are looking to secure an in-group identity, gain social approval, and make sure they're reflecting shared societal values. It's all about the group.
Now, add in the specific friction points of the Pakistani market. We're talking extreme price sensitivity and a massive, massive boom of counterfeit brands. When you combine those factors with generally low risk-taking behaviors, you get a market where buying a high-priced smartphone is not just a simple everyday transaction. It is a huge financial and, honestly, social risk.
Which brings us to Section 3, the data disconnect, when traditional theories fail.
So, the big question is, does Everett Rogers' classic framework actually hold up under these unique, localized conditions? Do the old rules even apply? Well, researchers tested this by conducting what we can call the Lahore study. They surveyed 193 young, experienced smartphone users from private universities in the suburbs of Lahore. They deliberately targeted a demographic where 96% were under the age of 27 just to see which of Rogers' 6 adoption elements actually drove their latest purchases.
But when the structural equation modeling data came back, we got a massive plot twist. 4 out of the 6 traditional hypotheses were completely unsupported by the data. Relative advantage, compatibility, complexity, triability, all of them failed to directly predict adoption. No way, right? The classic theory fundamentally failed to map reality here. It revealed that for these young collectivist consumers, flashy features and testing a product out just didn't directly matter in the way traditional models assumed. Only 2 core things directly dictated whether they would actually pull the trigger and buy a smartphone: the social influence of their peers and the perceived risk of making a bad purchase.
Section 4. The Alternative Model. Writing a New Rulebook.
Because the old rules simply didn't fit the data, the researchers couldn't just stop there. They had to write a completely new rulebook, essentially building an alternative model specifically tailored for collectivist tech adoption. Let's break down this new flow of influence because it is absolutely fascinating. Step 1. Trying a phone out and understanding its complexity doesn't make someone buy it directly. Instead, it reduces the functional perceived risk. Step 2. The phone's relative advantage and compatibility with their lifestyle doesn't trigger a purchase directly either. It builds social influence within their peer group. And finally, Step 3. It's only when that low risk and high social influence combine that the final adoption actually happens. It's like a chain reaction.
So, what is the ultimate takeaway here? It's actually profound. In collectivist societies, tech brands cannot just rely on flashy features or impressive spec sheets to move units. If a brand wants to survive in a price-sensitive, highly social market, mitigating functional risk and gaining the group's social approval are inextricably linked. I mean, they are the absolute master keys to survival. You can't have one without the other.
As researcher Suleiman Anwar and his team powerfully concluded, the traditional structure of the diffusion of innovation theory does not fit well with the data. Social influence and perceived risk strongly affect adoption intentions. This proves definitively that cultural context is a critical variable that global tech giants can no longer afford to ignore. Basically, you have to understand the culture to successfully sell the tech.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. Take a look at your own phone right now. Go on, look at it. Now ask yourself, how much did your own culture, your friends, and maybe even a secret fear of making the wrong social choice secretly influence your decision to buy it? Something to think about. Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and keep questioning the data.